Hi folks, it's Robin here from Triple Ace Games, and we're back this week. Didn't quite make it last week. We had some life issues to get on with, but we're back this week with my friends here, and we're going to be playing another session of The Sky's No Limit, which is Leagues of Adventure, Part 6 apparently. Part 6 we are on, and just to say that Leagues of Adventure is a very cool Victorian steampunk pulpy game that you can buy from us, and it's run using the Ubiquity rule set, and this one book is all you need to get into the action. And I just want to plug also the fact that you can get special Ubiquity dice for this as well, which again, all these things are down in the description for this video. Look, there's a whole stack of them there. I also want to just say that next week, Triple Ace Games is launching a new Kickstarter for some Egyptian dice. And again, down in the description, you can click on a link to take you there to a holding page where you can sign up and get notified as soon as we go live. Just want to also say that this adventure that we're playing, with my character Oscar, who's a weird scientist, just to say that we've got a very cool additional book, which I think Anthony has a copy of, the Weird Science Compendium. This is an excellent addition to the game. It gives you a whole bunch of new rules and ways to build cool inventions for your character. So I'm just going to hand you over to George, played by Eloy, and he's going to give us a quick rundown of what happened in the last session before we crack on into the jungle. So, Eloy, over to you.
Okay, so last week we started in the midst of a very tense situation with a large pteranodon on top of the Epiphany, our skyship, which had just been struck by the crane being manipulated by Oscar, Robin's character, and had got the hook of the crane stuck on its wing. This set off a whole chain of events. The generators for the ship overloaded, for which Lawrence, our chemist who was down in the engine room, decided to sort of release all the power, right? So he just vented the excess energy into the anti-gravity paint, causing the Epiphany to precipitously gain altitude and sort of like twist upside down as it began to increase height.
Saving the ship.
Saving the ship in the process, but also breaking the electrocarbolic acid batteries and incurring further damage, and trying to do that. So while this is happening, Robin was scrambling all over the deck trying to get to the control room, and he managed to get there in time before the ship capsized, basically.
Defying death. I just want to say.
Defying death, yes. And wrestled the controls, trying to regain some control of the ship. Now, meanwhile, on the beach, my character, George, had taken a swan dive off the ship and was swimming to the shore, seeing Sir John St. John Smythe and his almost unconscious body, and grabbing him and swimming with him to the shore. By the time he got there, the pteranodon had landed and was attacking the troop of British soldiers being commanded by Belvedere, Baldwin, Lieutenant Credenza. They were trying to fight the monster, but it was being completely ineffectual. So George ran off towards the monster, trying to pick up a rifle and trying to shoot the beast in some sort of vital spot. The beast reared, and I couldn't find an adequate spot, but I did notice it had a large, strange crystal piercing with, was it crystal or metallic? It was a glowing device with, I think, precious stones and metals and stuff like that. Yep. And seeing how individual fire was ineffective, and how Lieutenant Credenza was basically being a poor leader, right, unable to control the troops, George decided to take over the situation and began issuing commands to organize a troop to try and attempt coordinated fire against the monster. But seeing how this was completely ineffectual, then George switched tactics to a fighting retreat, where, you know, part of the troops would fire, the others would run back and turn around and start firing, and you know, leading the troops in a retreat toward the tree line, figuring if we get under the trees, then it's harder for the creature to see us and attack us, right? During this process, the ship comes crashing down from the sky because they somehow managed to make it start descending.
Saving the ship from going up in the atmosphere and us all dying of asphyxiation.
Exactly.
Saving the ship.
Saving, yes. That's our story, and we're sticking to it. So they managed to regain control at the last possible second, and instead of completely crashing into the beach, they sort of twisted around to where it hits the tree line and crashes into the jungle floor via the sacrifice of one of our automatons, Delta, who managed to shield Lawrence from certain death, because all this time he's, you know, on top of all the damage from the poison and the ship smacking him around and the caustic electrocarbolic acid damage, our friend Lawrence is not doing so well. So anyway, the ship crashes into the jungle. Our crew manages to survive. And the beast finally breaks free of the piece of cable, because the whole crane, he tore the crane off the ship when he flew off. He managed to free his wing from the hook and seemed to be called away. You know, once the situation calmed down, we found Garibaldi and Oscar and everybody else. We tried to bandage wounds as best we could and began discussing how to proceed, because now the ship is ruined, right? So the idea was that the ship holds lifeboats, which we thought we might convert with some salvage technology and some salvage anti-gravity paint, and perhaps we could turn them into some sort of hovercraft in order to continue the expedition through the river and towards our goal of the plateau with the dinosaurs. There was an added complication in that the troop of soldiers whose loyalty we seem to have gained are concerned that Lieutenant Credenza will go back to Belém, the city, and somehow weasel out of, you know, blame them for the catastrophe instead of taking responsibility. And so Edmund Burke, one of the hunters from the Hunter Society, and George have decided to head into Belém to sort of speak for the troops, while Lawrence Garibaldi and Oscar attempt to salvage what technology they can and, you know, sort of fix or prepare the lifeboats for our continued expedition. But of course, this assumes that Lawrence is in some sort of shape to help with this endeavor, because he is pretty banged up.
Right on. Nicely done.
Bravo.
All right, so we will open up with a touching yet private scene. I'd like you to imagine the ruined engine room. Acid burns, still remnants of shattered glass here and there, right? Seared metal. And laboring in the corner next to the power generation system is Lawrence Garibaldi, bandaged, battered, burned, still suffering the effects of poison. But we are in the doorway, speaking softly, and there's Grover, neatly attired, perfectly pressed, smelling vaguely of tea, with Oscar Winegold, and George Mallory, observing the staggering, shambling wreck of a man. And Grover says, "I'm sorry, sir, I tried to get him to rest, but he said if he doesn't fix it, then no one would. I tried to lure him away with some fine cakes and even those crumpets that he loves, but I'm sorry, I was unable to persuade him. Perhaps you gentlemen could make him see reason."
So I'm just hobbling around from place to place and made myself a little makeshift cane out of one of the beams of the ship that's, come dislodged. This little metal cane, it still has some electrocarbolic acid burns in it. And I'm hoisting myself around and huffing and puffing. And I'm pretty beat up. And you can see the acid burns on me, some of which I believe was George Mallory I can't remember if it was George or Oscar, was nice enough to bandage to the point where they weren't quite as serious as they had been. But I am just beat up. So suffering the lingering effects of the poison, of being battered around the ship, and bruised. But I'm disabled and exhausted. It's a terrible state. Hobbling out from place to place, grabbing a jar of one chemical and trying to.
Good God, man.
Move it over.
That sounds important.
It could have been important. Let me just check.
You can go investigate. We'll take a brief detour into the rules. In our campaign, this is the first major injury, and Lawrence Garibaldi is currently suffering from 6 what are called lethal wounds and 3 non-lethal wounds. What really distinguishes these 2 types of wounds from each other is the rate at which they heal. Obviously, lethal wounds are more life-threatening, more immediately life-threatening. A character has a wound track. Depending on their attributes, they'll have more or less an amount of wound levels. Lethal wounds, when you fill up your wound track, that's it. Your character is dead. Non-lethal wounds, you can fill it up with non-lethal wounds and then cycle through again to turn that into lethal damage as you continue to be beaten about. So lethal wounds are more serious, and they also take longer to heal, to the tune of, with rest and care, a non-lethal wound will heal in about a day. A lethal wound, on the other hand, will heal in about a week. So he's looking at 6 weeks and change for full recovery from his current condition. If he, rests, takes it easy during that period of time and convalesces without professional medical care. If he were able to get professional medical care, then the rate at which he heals would, of course, be faster, depending on the quality of the hospital in which he was being cared for. So we'll shift our focus away from Lawrence and back to Oscar and George in the doorway, seeing their companion in such a terrible state. He can only do one of his 3 possible action choices because of his wounded condition. So normally a Ubiquity character can move and defend themselves and fight or do an action. He's in such a wounded state that he can only do one of those 3 things at a time. So he's much slower than possible. He's also suffering from wound penalties, equivalent to the number of wounds he's taken below the 0 level. So everything that he would normally be able to do quite easily is actually now quite difficult. So he really is in a very bad way and, not up to the rigors of a jungle expedition in his current condition.
Yes. Well, this presents a good opportunity. We are forced to take time to allow Lawrence to recover, but this gives us time to go to Belém and speak on the regiment's behalf, while Oscar, you can lead the preparations to resume our expedition by an alternate means of transportation.
And
Yes.
to provide context for that, weird science, this would count as modifying existing designs. It would still be quite difficult because this is a very advanced design, and any modifications you make to it is going to be pitted against that initial creation rating or creation difficulty as your benchmark. But once you have managed to, build a pool sufficient to beat that benchmark, then you'll have a successful working blueprint from which to prepare your designs. And
So
then
the
you only have to deal.
The actual building bit is like it's an extended action, isn't it?
Yes.
So, yeah. Okay. Well, can
So
we?
we are talking about weeks. We're talking about weeks
Yeah.
of
Can we persuade? First off, I think we need to persuade Lawrence to actually get some rest, to lie down. Let's maybe you can help out here and there, but over the next few days, maybe a couple of weeks, while we sort things out, he should actually just rest. Perhaps we can give him the captain's cabin and get Grover to wait on him hand and foot and attend his every need.
We can try to find a doctor in Belém and send him to oversee Lawrence's recovery. I'm sure that will
Perhaps a nurse
help him
as well.
Perhaps we'll see how many resources we can scrounge
Yeah.
in this small town, right? But,
Okay, so that's what we should try for Lawrence, and then I'm going to spend some time designing these lifeboats that are hovering boats that we can use to move up the river.
and that'll help us regain time, because this is a race, right? We got some more of the Royal Geographic Society coming up on an airship, so we gotta make up for lost time.
Yeah.
All right. So let's go with Edmund Burke and George Mallory and Tanveer Singh, as Oscar kind of drifts into the design phase and whatever conversation occurs with Lawrence. And so, the road to Belém.
Yes,
Could I get an expeditions roll from George, please, as you're packing up, getting ready to go?
of course. I should also point out at this time that I decided to spend some of my XPs to purchase the fame resource at level 1, based on the actions on the beach. I think this is the beginning of fame for George, having seized command of the troop and directed the efforts against the Pteranodon. So expeditions is a 5. And I have only 1 style point, so I think we're gonna go with a plain 5.
Difficulty is 0, so
Okay, so let's see how many.
see how well we do.
3 successes out of 5 dice. Which is
All right, that is very good. If the discussion of the night before and today about the redesign of the boats is going to take the type of time suggested by Oscar, then the expedition does not have sufficient supplies. Worse, the ship is now unpowered. So a lot of the supplies were chosen based on having a working galley and all of those things, not trying to cook and survive in a pure jungle environment.
Hey,
those are 2 hurdles.
we got the hunting club.
That's true, but it makes sense for us to pack some provisions for the journey, And so this tells me that we need to have Jean-Claude come with us to Belém to assist in the procuring of, because that's going to give us some good helping dice. Oh, yes.
I will join you.
That is so.
So, gentlemen, I'm sorry, but as Lawrence Garibaldi was fumbling around, he did, in fact, whack against a tray of, or a shelf of all of his recently repiled chemical accoutrement, which in fact he pushed over in a ataxic state. Sound effects provided by my lovely family.
I
hope everyone's okay.
Yes.
They are now. It was a bit of a mishap. But
we're glad they survived the crash of the airship as well.
Yeah, but that is exactly what happened. I imagine you were unsuccessful in convincing me to stop, even though
we didn't try. We kind of drove around it. So
okay, that's about his states.
Okay, so we'll get to that in a moment. So Lawrence is still shuffling around. The Edmund Burke is getting the troops ready, and they recently made this march to get here, so they're not particularly worried about making the march back. They are properly supplied to make that journey, but it is that realization, that sets George off, makes him realize that the crew staying with the Epiphany very soon will be running out of proper supplies and proper ways to maintain them and cook them, and so there's some emergency procedures going on in the galley and in the storerooms right now to preserve what can be preserved and to try to identify what is edible and what is poisonous in the area surrounding the crash.
Not lick the darts.
Okay. So will you be attempting to take Lawrence with you?
It might, no, it's probably a good idea in the sense that if we can get him to Belém and some medical care, it might speed things up in the long run. The counter to that is that he won't be available to assist. But again, what condition is he in to assist Oscar?
Considering that he's on a...
I'm glad you asked that. I'm glad you asked that. Technically, I am disabled because the damage that actually put me over the edge originally was lethal damage. So I'm only capable of taking limited action. How much? It doesn't really say that I can see, like how much it really would affect my ability, other than the fact that I am at -3. So anything I do suffers a -3 die penalty. So
limited action is you can only do things slowly, one thing at a time, kind of.
One thing at a time, yeah. And in terms of like my condition, as far as like how much is this going to affect us long term? Technically, I have 6 lethal wounds and 3 non-lethal wounds. Non-lethal wounds always heal first; they heal 1 a day. So in 3 days, my battered, exhausted state on top of my disabled state will be gone, which happily will put me with no penalty on tasks. But then lethal damage takes 1 week per point. However, if I get under the care of a medical person, and I'm assuming this care really kind of means fairly attentive care. Yeah, hospitalization, fairly attentive care. Then the person actually makes a medicine roll. Every success, acts as kind of like a divider to how long it would take. So say the person rolls 3 successes, then I heal 3 times as fast. If they roll 1 success, well then I heal normally. So it pays to have a good doctor.
The other complicating factor is that many of his injuries are unusual.
Yeah. The vast majority of that. One of those lethal wounds is from actual puncture wounds from from the spikes, I think one of them is actually caustic because you were able to convert one of them into like non-lethal caustic, because that's the one I actually got right before your medicine roll. But then 4 of them are from poison. That's kind of unusual.
So,
This is
point
a
of
good
decision.
argument. This is
Take
a good
him,
argument for
leave
taking him. Yeah.
But of course,
Well,
you're in great danger if you take me with you.
Well,
Anything happen on the trip?
well, the other option is that you stay here and we try and bring the care to you. But
That's true.
that's the other option. We try and find a doctor to come and help you. But that might be slower, and they won't have the hospital.
It's not just the doctor, it's the hospital.
Yeah.
Nonsense, I'm fine.
All right, so what's it going to be?
I think, can we persuade him to go to the hospital?
I think we should take him, but it's up to him, really.
Do you need to be persuaded, or are you going to go, or?
Talk about it, I suppose.
You want to be persuaded?
Somebody's got to persuade me. I don't know.
All right.
Seems like
Make it happen.
All right. So,
Persuade him.
yes. So, Lawrence, you really need some rest. You can't be of any help in this shape. We gotta make sure we get that effects of that poison out of you and get you up to speed. There's no time to waste.
Good God, man, we're going to have to trek through this jungle. There's no way you're going to be able to make it with the state that you're in.
It's ridiculous. I mean, it's right here. It's right in front of us.
I know, but counterintuitive as it might seem, it'll be much faster if you rest.
And look, it's going to take us some time to get ready for our trek. Now that the ship is unusable, you might as well take that time to heal properly and faster.
Who's going to fix Delta?
Well, we're not going to fix
their
it.
assistance. I have the head on the counter next to me.
Delta can wait.
He'll be here when you get back. It'll just put him right back to working condition. It'll keep.
Mimicking life,
So
mimicking real life. I stumble against a shelf, knock more things over, and I acquiesce.
All right. Then no roll is required, although that would have been interesting.
Ooh.
Because I detected 2 clear points, solid logical points on the side of the you should go versus just emotional points on the side of I should stay. So there would have been bonus dice awarded to the persuaders, and then you'd have been left with your bare willpower and your -3 penalty, and it would have been interesting.
Like I said, I stumble against pretty much, the same result, but with less loss of face.
All right.
Rolling.
So we will assign, Robin, please take on the role of Tanvir Singh.
Of course.
One thing that hasn't come out, it's obvious to the people who've seen his character sheets, but it's not obvious to Aloy because he hasn't seen the character sheet and actions haven't made it important. But at some point in his recent history, Tanvir has sworn off the use of firearms.
Oh, that's an important detail. Yeah.
Now, of course, they met in military service where he was banging away with the rest of them, but now he will not pick up a firearm. And if he does, he'll be so conflicted that any skill that he used to have is just completely erased.
I wonder what the story is behind that.
Well, that could come out in a later session, but
I could tell you a couple of reasons why.
so we assemble on the beach. We're getting ready to walk to Belim, and one of the soldiers is trying to pass one of the now extra rifles from one of the casualties to Tanvir, who says, thank you very much, and then passes it back. So there's this going on.
I can imagine him taking it, looking at it, and passing it on. Yeah.
Trying not to upset anybody. Why does this man still not have a rifle? I've given him 3.
Yeah. Okay.
And so the sun is just fully visible above above the ocean when it is time. Edmund Burke's wanted to leave for the last 2 hours, you know.
Oh, and I forgot, we did catch a glimpse of the pulsing, glowing light similar to the crystal thing on the Pteranodon on the horizon on last session. So
you have a way to chart a course into the interior when you're ready.
Yeah. So so George will carry his revolver. Now that we've seen how dangerous this place actually is, he is no longer going to go unarmed. So he'll be, at least revolver and kukri knife at all times. And when called for, his elephant gun as well. But, I suppose we'll have the automatons carry a stretcher with Garibaldi on it. He won't go on the stretcher.
They won't go into the land of rust.
Oh.
I got
I'm very sorry about it, but it would be like asking you to wade through fire.
That's true.
Let's get Procter and Gamble to do it.
That makes sense. Procter and Gamble are porters. That is correct. So they'll carry Mr. Garibaldi.
Well, that would actually be a relief, I think. He's much lighter than the box they normally have to carry around.
Yeah.
True.
Then again, the box doesn't complain.
Plus, there's the prospect of a city, right? Like at least a town, as opposed to this dangerous jungle where,
All right. So let's get underway. You have some very experienced people in the jungle, but this is a new jungle for pretty much everybody. The local British troops are very quick to tell you to watch out for insects and insect bites. Right. And they also tell you to keep very strict care of all your leather goods and that we should stay as close to the beach as possible because in this humidity, they will decay far more rapidly than you might expect. Check all of your moist areas, such as armpits and the like, for fungus growing out of control. And then this sparks into lots of quiet conversation about how many uniforms they've had to replace out of their own pocket and so on and so forth. But there are also some illnesses, some fevers to avoid. So we'll begin with a survival roll. This will be a group survival roll, right? And led by George.
Has plenty of experience in
That's right.
in warm climates. He did serve in India when he met Tanveer Singh. So
you have 2 extra dice from the helpful assistance of everyone around you. The difficulty, we're measuring the whole trip, and this is for preventing any negative situation during the trip. Right, so you don't have to worry about navigation because you're traveling with people who know the route. Right, so all we're talking about is avoiding the day-to-day perils of the jungle. The difficulty for this will be 4. Oof. That's how dangerous this jungle is.
well, I could actually take the average.
Oh, you're so cool.
Yes,
That's very
I
nice.
do have
Would you
it.
like to take the average? Or would you like to show us just how cool you really are?
I think we'll go for the average because 8 dice is exactly 4. So let's not push it.
All right.
Well,
What happened to
just
St.
getting
John
by.
Smythe? I forgot about St. John Smythe. Is he
He
dead
is-
now or?
No, he's being carried by
Yes. All right.
the soldiers.
Yeah.
He's still with you. He's quite delirious. And he's still babbling. He's repeating that same strange phrase that he delivered to you earlier. Sometimes the details change a little bit. By that I mean verses are rearranged or he gets breathless at certain points and leaves out words. But the overall meaning is the same. But he doesn't embellish it. He doesn't change it. He uses the same words, almost like he's quoting. Right. But that's pretty much all that comes out of his mouth other than some random groans. So he's being carried by the least popular of the British soldiers, the ones judged to be the least effective in the encounter, the ones who usually eat more and do less and that kind of thing. So they're carrying John St. John Smythe, and Procter and Gamble are carrying Lawrence Garibaldi. On the average, you're able to navigate the perils between here and Berlin, which is quite a distance. It's a 3-day journey with your load. Okay, what dangers did you avoid?
I think we avoided a little bit of the local wildlife, snakes and such. We managed to ration our supplies, which are, starting to run low because of the accident and the additional number of troops, right? A lot of things were lost in the attack. So we've managed to ration the water and care for our injured people so that they do not succumb to further problems, right? And the stretcher managed to make it through. Nobody broke an ankle.
We didn't get lost.
No, that's always good. That's always good.
With a little assistance, there was only 1 or 2 times Garibaldi had to say, "Proctor, don't move. Just hold on for a second." Flick something off of him.
Flick something terrible off of him.
Something creepy and crawly.
What was it? No, it's fine. It's fine. Just
I had 20 legs.
Right. And so when you arrive at Berlin, you don't have to do the normal thing of trying to find lodging or anything like that. You're able to go to the barracks assigned to the small British embassy there, where St. John Smythe is, of course, an attaché. He's not the ambassador, but he is the person who, in his conscious condition, is the one who knows everyone, who arranges everything, who does the bulk of the negotiation. The ambassador just shows up to sign stuff, right? He is the embassy. St. John Smythe is the embassy. So that's what happens. He's whisked off to somewhere in the embassy or to the hospital, and 2 soldiers are willing to take you to the nearby hospital facility for George Garibaldi. But everyone's starting to look nervous and worried because now they're back in civilization. Their corporal is giving a formal report, and Edmund Burke is in the drawing room drawing up his written remarks and that sort of thing. So it's suddenly gotten very serious.
So,
but on the positive side, it's been a 3-day trip, so I've healed 3 non-lethal.
Yay!
Woohoo!
If you were resting.
no, he was on a stretcher. So.
Oh,
Well,
I'm afraid I'm going to need a body roll
Oh,
to see if you were able to, under
really
these
rest.
conditions with Procter and Gamble and
to relax and
Oh, dear God. Yeah.
folks, he's a very, very tough GM, Anthony.
No, hey, that's great. Okay, cool. I just it seemed, I felt like cheating for a second. And time passes. All right, so 3 dice because I got -3 penalty. And all right, Triple Ace Games dice rolled me 2 successes.
ooh,
Nice.
very nice. That's enough. So you are able to use this time to recover, and now you only have lethal wounds left.
Yay! All right.
Okay.
So can we go probably take him straight to the hospital? Is that a possibility?
Certainly. I don't think anyone would have a complaint with that. And if they do have a complaint with that, we're not going to like them very much. All right. Now, the hospital is, of course, filled mostly with tropical disease cases or, day-to-day injuries, broken arms and things like that. It's very clean, very airy, lots of open windows and big fans, but also lots of mosquito netting and stuff like this. It's a little bit like stepping back 50 years in time from London standards. But still, clean, conscientious staff interested in healing the sick and improving the community. So it's a good place. And lots of white paint, which is also nice.
Excellent.
Bonus, at this hospital is where the 2 survivors of the original expedition are being kept.
Ooh.
Excellent. That is excellent. So we can interview them directly. And also, I seem to remember Lawrence whipping up some sort of antidote and helping St. John Smythe, so it might be worth another attempt at that in between, when he's recovered enough.
Right. Because he spoiled the last batch.
Yeah.
So because, you are speakers of a foreign language and the like, you end up actually being placed in the room with the mostly comatose expedition members, the 2 of them. They're still in the grip of some strange delirium or fever. Most of the time they're asleep. Sometimes they are visibly suffering nightmares with the minor body trembles and elevated breathing rates. But from time to time, they wake themselves up with full-throated, full-body screams.
Wow.
Just
Gotta be.
out of the blue, just randomly.
I suppose you could keep it down a little bit, old boy. Just getting a rest here.
With them, there's a guard posted, not really to protect them from anything, but just as a representative of the British Embassy's authority.
Lawrence, so while you're trying to rest and recover, if you should find yourself in feeling well enough to perhaps take notes, see if any of their ramblings resemble the words of St. John Smythe. It might provide some clues to our destination. Everything.
I'll make sure I write everything down. I'm just as interested as you are. But first, I need to talk to somebody here. I got to get somebody in here about that antidote I was able to create. But never mind. You go and make sure that we all don't end up in jail.
Yeah.
Or whatever the equivalent is.
All right. So, a little bit of time passes. All right. What preparations need to be done for meeting the magistrates in the morning? They are setting the time for that, and they want to meet with you at 9 o'clock in the morning. They will expect written remarks. They'll expect pressed uniforms and polished everything. So there's not actually a lot of time left to wander around town or do anything. There's just time to get ready for the men. The men find you good places to rest in the barracks and ways to polish and prepare your kit. So, if you 2 fine gentlemen could portray Procter and Gamble, Lawrence Garibaldi, having had some painful examinations, some fruitful discussions with the doctor about antidotes, you're in fresh bandages, on fresh sheets. There's finally a breeze coming in through the large window, and you had been asleep, deeply asleep, just moments before someone woke you up screaming. It's an inarticulate scream. It's not even a no kind of scream. It's just a vocalization, as if the world were ending, as if you're watching everything that you love and cherish be consumed by one horrific end. And so you are awake. maybe the only person in the whole hospital who's awake, other than the cleaning staff and the poor nurse who has to be awake at the end of the hall. And that's when you hear it. Not Proctor snoring, not Gamble snoring. A scritch, scritch, scritch like claws on the exterior of the hospital wall just outside your window.
Yeah, I suppose the guard is nowhere to be found now.
The guard normally stands outside the door in the hallway. His name was Reggie, maybe.
Reggie. Trying to be very, very quiet as I'm slowly also getting out of bed. Reggie. But nobody answering. Or if he doesn't answer, I'm just...
There's this chorus of snores.
Right. Yeah, typical. I'm carefully just kind of inching over to the window to see what I can see. Fascinating.
Okay. So please describe to me the way that you're approaching looking out the window.
You've done that thing where you kind of lift your foot and your arm up to try to get the blanket off of you in the most quiet manner possible. That's to not wake up your spouse or something like that. It's kind of a little bit hunched over unnecessarily when you're trying to be sneaky and you're not really sure how to be sneaky, so you're just has rudimentary understanding of self and kind of crouch down a little bit unnecessarily as if that would do something. Slowly kind of.
So you're looking
sliding
mostly
forward.
down?
Well, out and down.
Out and down. So you see the sleeping city ahead of you, and looking down, you see the courtyard, and then out of the corner of your eye, you realize there are two dark forms on either side of the window.
Oh,
They are jungle lizards, the size of a man. Initiative.
lizard men. Nice.
Whose idea was it to bring me to the city? Huh?
Well, you were safe in the jungle.
The real tragedy here is that you're not going to recover that lethal wound in this week. You know, it's the real tragedy.
And
Don't
perhaps
attack me now.
yeah, perhaps it wakes some of the people in the hospital up. Is just the shouts of "George, you son of a!" All right, initiative is sorry, I'm at 5 on initiative. So let's see. What do I actually roll? Triple Ace games, folks. Dice, I've managed to roll 0 successes.
Oh,
No way!
The probabilities of which I will tell you later, but it's not very high.
All right,
less than 1%.
This is a critical failure. I can count the number of critical failures I've seen in Ubiquity games on 3 fingers, and you've rolled 2 of them.
Yes, I have.
I rolled the other one.
I'm the
Okay.
star, people.
So that means, well,
Thanks, Robin.
well, it happens.
you're exhausted.
Yep.
You're medicated, right? Painkiller, whatnot.
Absolutely.
You haven't really had continuous sleep since arriving. It's a very bizarre thing. So there's that moment of disbelief. But you do hear this sound.
Ooh.
Oh, no. Here we go again. Here we go again.
You are startled and unable to act, so this is defense with only body.
Smashing. Smashing on fellow. That's great. All right.
Perhaps the mosquito net will save you.
It might. It's a good point, actually. Give yourself 1 extra die.
Let's see. Oh well.
Blimey.
That's worked. Well, I tell you what, that one extra die is good because initially I rolled a 0.
0 successes again. Oh my god.
But this one, the mosquito netting itself,
It's
it's the only thing.
Wow.
resilient mosquito net. Yes.
Wow. Okay. That's horrifying. Okay. Proctor, Gamble, Perception.
I don't have their character sheets at all. I realise I've only got Grover and Tanvir's.
You have 2 perception just in case.
Okay.
And I do as well. And
A
I
success will mean you wake up.
have the honor of being the 4th
Oh my
critical
god.
failure in this.
That's 2 dice. It doesn't really count as a critical.
Okay, I got 1 success.
All right.
50-50.
Proctor wakes up probably because of his lifetime of cowardice.
Proctor, great. He's going to be a lot
What's
of
that?
Alert.
What's that? I swear I heard something.
All right. So there is a pinprick in your neck, snapping you out of your paralysis. Procter and Gamble come awake, seeing the body of George jump as though stuck.
So they've hit George.
Sorry, Lawrence.
Lawrence.
They've hit Lawrence. That would be quite a blow, actually,
Yeah.
to have it go across town and, inside a building.
It'd be okay as far as I'm concerned. But yeah, okay. Yeah.
All right. Reducing the damage enough so that you only take, I'm sorry to say, my friend, 2 lethal
Oh,
from the poison.
God.
But
He's like the local pincushion.
if medical attention can be delivered quickly enough, you may be okay.
Silence.
Get me a doctor.
This is
I say get me a doctor and kind of slump down on the floor a little bit.
so I'm going.
Take cover.
Yeah, get me a doctor.
So Proctor wakes up. I'm going to shake Gamble awake, and then see Lawrence is holding his neck, and I'm going to raise the alarm. I guess find a doctor, shout out.
Excellent. So you're going to run out of the room, in other words.
Yeah, well, that's what Proctor would do.
That's
Fantastic. Proctor can have a style point. Gamble, what are you going to do?
Gamble wakes crumpets. He wakes up and when he sees Lawrence collapse with his hand to his neck, is the
Someone has attacked him in the hospital.
darts. What? And then he leans over and grabs hopefully clean bedpan and rushes to his aid, as an improvised weapon,
Oh, right on.
whatever's, at hand.
Okay.
So-
Now, if this was a different game, I'd make you roll to see if it was clean.
Yeah.
Keep in mind that now Proctor has style. Like this is his 3rd style point that he's got.
He's got 3 styles.
Proctor's sitting on a lot of style right now, just in case he needs to do something cool.
Yeah.
All right.
Gamble has 1, so it's not too bad.
From Gamble's perspective, he can see a shadow on one side of the window frame when Garibaldi slumps down to take cover behind the wall by the bed. Right, he can see the shadow outside. He can't see the other one, but can see one. Would you like to rush to the attack? You can.
Sure, why not? He'll try to smack him with the bedpan, see if he can sort of shove him out the window or something.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. Improvise. What we'll just use brawl for this.
Yeah. Which he doesn't have, but he
Excellent.
does have some style.
Yeah.
So brawl because of his strength, right?
Yes.
Okay, so it's 6 dice for strength.
It's just not doubled though.
Yeah, not doubled.
Oh, it's a regular
Yeah.
Regular 3 dice is what we're saying for strength.
Yeah.
And he's going to spend his.
Does he get a bonus for the improvised weapon?
He does. He gets 1 die.
Oh, cool. So that's 4 dice. Plus, I'm going to spend my style point that I've been saving since session 1, I think, to sort of see if I can drive him off. And he's, screaming his head off, go away, leave us alone now. And
That's going to give you another die. I'll explain why later, but
Okay.
that will give you another die.
okay. That is a sum total of 3 successes.
All right. So, leaning out the window and he's really
Trying to-
close. The figure's right there,
Trying to smack him with the metallic bedpan. It's like, go away, go away.
And the figure only has 1 arm. And you don't have any of this perception it's a lizard person or a lizard or anything like that. It's just it's someone outside the window, right? There could be a balcony out there for all you know. Right? So there's only a 1 hand to fend it off and just being whacked by the bedpan, and you're screaming, go away, and they drop into the night, disappearing like smoke.
Excellent.
And then, of course, reinforcements arrive. Proctor and doctors and the guard from the hallway. And, of course, there's nothing to see except you leaning out the window.
Yeah, banging the
bedpan.
the metallic bedpan against the wall, right? So it's making a bit of a racket. Yeah.
Yeah. And through it all, the 2 feverish expedition survivors sleep.
Oh. And so they're gone. Mr. Garibaldi, it's a poison dart to the neck. Is he all right?
He's all shrouded in the mosquito netting, and there's no sign of the dart, but there's a little pinprick of blood.
Okay.
I say, Doctor, we've only got minutes here. I think before I end up like Smythe or worse, like these 2 gentlemen, or pushing up daisies. And I've got things to do. If you don't mind.
Remember that antidote we talked about? Yeah.
Proctor rushes
Well,
over.
there is the unorthodox treatment because the chemical itself causes a reaction in the blood, which then produces a muddy compound which gets circulated, causing most of its damage.
Sucking out the poison. But is there medical personnel here?
Yeah, a doctor came back with Proctor.
Proctor runs over to the table,
So-
to the bed, and starts unwrapping Garibaldi from the mosquito net that he's
So
got entangled.
Gamble will start trying to say, you need to draw the poison out like Mr. Mallory did. Cut the wound and suck out the poison. And he's just shouting, instructions.
The doctor is momentarily mortified, but he remembers the discussions from earlier in the day. He's a very intelligent individual, this doctor. And he's dedicated to saving life and, attempts to save your life. And is able, with his medical skill, to convert 2 lethal wounds to 2 non-lethal wounds.
Smashing.
Excellent. Excellent. We're back to the same number of weeks again.
Yeah.
No, it's not true at all.
Well, 3 days you healed 3 non-lethal. You need 2 more to heal this. Now that's about a week.
All right. The next morning at 9 o'clock, sharp, Edmund Burke, George Mallory, Tanvir Singh, and the survivors of Armbruster Credenza's troop find themselves before the magistrate. And his courtroom is incredibly hot. Right? There are fans moving, they're doing nothing. And it's hot, everything smells like fresh varnish, the varnish on the wood furniture, the seats, the tables, it's all sticky, coming off in your fingers. Everything is just sweating. The wood is sweating, the floor is sweating, the people are sweating. But everyone's trying to look like they're not sweating. Worse, this is a formal hearing. And for whatever reason, this local magistrate has gone the whole 9 yards with the formal black cloak, the white collar, and the wig.
So George has waxed his mustache and has, arranged his cleanest set of clothes, pith helmet under his arm, the revolver by his side, standing straight at attention.
He's probably got medals.
Boots.
He's probably got medals.
Yeah, he's wearing, because I'm picturing the guy like behind Ivan, right, and with the red scarf and everything. So that's
right.
So I would think he would have enlisted Tanveer Singh as he did before to sort of write the report beforehand, right, the previous night, so they'll have some written account of events as they have
Right,
seen
signatures
them, and presenting his credentials and any formal documents from the Royal Geographic Society and documents from all the sponsors that we accumulated for the expedition.
Good.
Because he wants to present himself formally to the.
I can tell you offhand that he's done that, but it's full of a lot of adjectives. It's not really written as it reads a little bit more like a novel than it does an actual report. Really flowery, just an absolute description of everything that happened, like just pulling out every descriptor, and heavy on
the first sentence is, the afternoon was sultry.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, you were supposed to show up at exactly 9 o'clock. And of course, being military men, did so. Right? In fact, you arrived early so that you could walk in at exactly 9 o'clock sharp as requested. Right? And there are functionaries in this court who are ready to receive you, and they brief you on all the etiquette and where things are and all of that stuff. So everyone's ready to go. There's no hesitation or loss of even a second, right? Everything is down to the very second on this big brass pocket watch. The doors open and you're ushered in, and in the middle of conversation is where you find this magistrate already listening to the livid complaints of Lieutenant Armbruster Credenza, telling his side of the story. He's almost at the end of how he was trying to manage a mutiny while single-handedly defending the injured John St. John Smythe, who he heroically pulled from, the briny sea while flaming wreckage came raining down. He manages to throw Neslinger's name under the bus at least twice in the time it takes you to have the doors opened and take a step. He's on a roll, slandering everybody, and the only person who had common decency and a good British stiff upper lip was himself. Okay. As he winds down, the magistrate says, yes. Thank you, Armbruster, and waves him off to the side, and then gets all very stiff and formal again. We go through the introductions. He reads through all the credentials. He's suitably impressed. But you're starting with a bit of an uphill battle. Yes. With all the documentation that you've brought forward, that will give you 2 extra dice. And the fact that you and Edmund Burke are there basically swearing the same story and have currently unimpeachable reputations will add 2 extra dice.
Nice.
But the harangue by Credenza has prejudiced the court against you, as have his social connections, which I'm not going to reveal because Mallory doesn't know.
Right.
But this sets you off already against a difficulty of 3.
Oof. Okay. Well, fortunately, I have. Would the Royal Geographic Society rank aid in my defense here? Does it
would.
add additional dice?
Yes.
And so I would also like to lobby for my newly acquired fame, because perhaps the soldiers from the regiment have been.
Sorry, I was confused. I confused myself. I was thinking of St. John Smythe's membership in the Royal Cartographic Society,
No.
which could have helped, but the Royal Geographical Society, for some reason,
Does not help.
upsets the magistrate.
Okay, so maybe
For-
he is.
For some reason.
Yes. Yes. He's in it
Best-
too.
Let's not talk about that then.
But perhaps my newly acquired fame, right? Because maybe the soldiers have been telling different stories.
And he has to
right?
worry about the opinion of the people, sure.
Yeah, and so
The fame will work.
yeah. All right, so it's a difficulty of 3, so it's not a bad number of dice, and I will make sure to pour some style into this, because I have shown up in my best clothes and looking as formal as possible, and I will proceed to tell the truth, because what I did was, I think it speaks for itself, really. So so here we go with the difficulty of 3. Oh boy, not so hot. Let's see.
Oh boy, not so hot. Did you hear that?
Well, no, actually, let me take that back. That's 6 successes on
Ooh.
10 dice, so it's a bit above average. Style did
All right,
nothing, but everything else helped.
So you have a choice, Mr. Mallory. You can get the soldiers acquitted and ruin, at least temporarily, Credenza's standing in the community. That's one option. Or have Credenza sent back to Britain. Or, this is not and or, these are just ors.
This is 3 different options. Yeah.
Right. Or get the soldiers out of trouble as the first option and keep Credenza's good graces.
That could be useful, actually. Have him in our pocket.
That's not a bad.
He might be quite grateful if we don't expose him completely.
If we have him save face. So I think that the third option sounds good. I think what I'll do is describe the magnitude of the severity of the situation, and perhaps downplay my own role in the matter, but highlight the bravery of the men and the chaos of the situation, and portray my role rather as providing assistance to Lieutenant Credenza's command, right? In a moment of confusion during the battle, as is to be expected in chaotic engagements and unprecedented situations, because no army has ever fought a beast like this before. So, reassembling the troops into order and stuff like that. So he sort of plays it off more like a team effort.
So I'll give you one more choice then.
Okay.
Because you've downplayed your role, that's actually working counter to your new fame.
That's true. That's true.
For the period of time that you are in and around Berlin, you could exchange that fame, which you just purchased with your experience points, just fame 1, for ally 2, being Armbruster Credenza. But when you leave the area, that ally 2 will revert back to being an ally 1.
Okay. But then I lose the fame, right?
But you lose the fame, yes.
Tough
No,
decision.
I think I want to keep the fame, right? Because
Okay.
he's all about the fame. So he downplays it, but he's still pretty heroic, right? He describes, his own. He doesn't throw Credenza
No, it's
under the
fair.
bus, but he doesn't downplay his own.
Okay.
I did this,
Gotcha.
I did the other thing. So yeah.
While I was doing this, no. All right. So back at the Epiphany, we have our first foray into weird science. All right.
Yeah.
Now, this is going to fall under your engineering, I believe, unless there's something that you would prefer to use.
Engineering is certainly the best.
Well, it really does seem like an engineering problem. Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, when Garibaldi recovers, he's going to have to be responsible for dealing with the installation and maintenance of the batteries. Right. There are no longer enough of these batteries unless you replace all the glass jars and all the acidic compound to float the Epiphany or power the Epiphany properly anymore. So while that process is happening, if that process is started, the ones that can be salvaged can be moved quite easily into the lifeboats.
Yeah.
All right. Now, weird science is a process of trade-offs. What do I want to get versus what am I willing to suffer? And this is the 1890s. It's actually 1890. And inventions are big and involve valves and cables and discharge and noxious fumes and lots of metal and cogs and wheels and whatnot. So one of the most obvious trade-offs that can be made for the longboats will be a reduced crew capacity. So if you want to turn in your Bible to page 146, you can see all of the rules detailing weird science. But first, we need to know if Oscar is up to the task of envisioning this project, of converting this existing drive system into this much smaller format.
Okay.
So, you want them to be able to fly. Right, so this is an additional form of movement.
Yeah, so it's kind of a hovering, maybe not, maybe a
fly, but
not. Yeah, so they hover. We'll figure out some other means of powering them forward.
The idea of being hovering is that maybe it'll be greater speed. I don't know if that's really
right.
I think originally when we talked about it, it was like skimming the surface of the water.
Right.
So
and that will also help you to avoid some common perils of river travel. Right. So we're looking at 2 or 4 enhancements there.
Yeah.
All right. Okay. And so one, that they hover rather than float. Right. And if that's enough, then great. But if you actually want them to be faster in this alternate mode of transport, then we'll need to add more enhancements. Okay. Now you can have up to 10 enhancements without needing to take a limitation. But the more enhancements that you have, the higher the difficulty for actually creating the thing.
Yes, so basically for each enhancement, it's an extra It's actually
For every
is it
2 enhancements,
two-
the difficulty goes up by 1.
difficulty goes up by 1. Okay. So yeah, so we want it to hover, and we do want it to go faster.
Right.
So
That's difficulty 3. But if you make it really well handling, it's difficulty 4. If you want to do that, you know, just in case we don't crash into like a tree or the side of a mountain. Or something.
Good handling is good. You don't have to worry about the weapon system or anything like that, because then you can do that as a separate project.
yeah, okay. Okay, so let's go with, let's just go, because I think with this we want to be able to go hover, go a bit faster so we can get there quicker, and yeah, maybe increased
So
handling.
you should be seeing a chart that will indicate about speed, right, in the vehicle section, just a couple pages into that chapter.
Can we get a limitations requires special fuel?
Yes, you can definitely justify the special fuel. That's the batteries, and it would also include the paint.
Right, exactly. So that means that brings us back down to difficulty 3 if you got it.
Require special
Get those
fuel,
3
yeah.
enhancements. That's not very hard with your mechanics skill of 8.
Isn't that special fuel requirement a -2 enhancements?
It's a -2 enhancement, yeah.
Yeah, so that would bring it down to 2 from 4.
Yeah,
Oh yeah, see?
yeah.
That'd be easy to create them. All those enhancements, just that one little minor detail.
Do we?
Do you
Do
want
we-
them to be
do we-
defensive?
Yeah, I was just about to say, how tough do we want to make it?
Tough enough to not break once it hits a bird or a mountain. But let's see.
We're not worried about weapons, are we? So
No, that can be a separate
Yeah.
invention roll, because otherwise this quickly shoots up into the nigh impossible range.
okay, so let's what about reduced passenger capacity? That would do.
You'll also have to take that one. I'm kind of like forcing that one on you.
Okay, all right. So that would mean I need 2 successes. Is that right?
Probably doable, unless you want to turn that into greater defense or some other advantage.
Improved defense is good.
It's harder to damage. Okay,
All right,
let's do
Done.
that. Done.
all right.
So that's
So let's go through step by step. You're going to use your engineering.
so that gives I've got a total of 8 for my engineering.
And our difficulty is sitting at, what is it, 4?
So I could just take the average.
Good. That would be 1 roll, and that would be 1 week's worth of work to come up with the design to
Okay.
make it happen. And then after that, it takes a certain amount of time per the size of the.
Is there any benefit to rolling? Would it speed it up or?
Yeah, it could reduce the time. But here's the kicker. Without the experience points to buy this design, I get to have fun with
Complicated.
assigning it conditions just willy-nilly whenever I feel like it.
Yeah. Okay.
So, as the game master, you can just rule out of hand it doesn't work if they don't have the experience points. Or say, sure, it works.
Kind of.
Okay.
And I'm going for it works. So it will move as desired, but they're going to be quirky.
Okay.
Okay.
We can
Genre.
live with that. It's a good boat, but it's quirky.
They say while flying upside down, heads dragging through the river water.
Let me
Okay.
get this straight. You got fly. We got greater speed.
Yeah.
We've got
Improved defense.
Improved defense. And we got improved handling?
Yeah, I did say that.
No. So that's 6.
So
that's
the
like
difficulty
7.
is
7 enhancements.
7
Enhancements,
enhancements.
But we got a -1 for the reduced capacity, so that's 6.
So with
Special
7
fuel.
enhancements, the difficulty is actually 4.
Yeah, but we did take special fuel, which is
That doesn't affect the difficulty of the design. That affects the
Okay.
rating of the artifact when you're done.
okay.
All right, so difficulty 4, which is still you can do on the average, which is fine.
Yeah.
And that's what you have. So
Okay.
yeah, reduced crew capacity, special fuel.
That was it.
That was it.
Yeah, so that's 3.
And it'll be artifact 2 when you're done, which means it's 30 experience points to buy the design.
Ouch.
Oh.
We don't need it ever that long.
So
Just gotta get us there. We can get back some other way.
The Tyrannosaurus would eat it at some point. Anyway, so, it's not like.
So I have to have that experience to buy it.
Yeah, so that it would work exactly like you want it to, and you can replicate it whenever you feel like it.
Okay.
That's what the XP allows. Without the XP, it either doesn't work at all,
Yeah.
or
You get to have
I get
fun
to have
with
I get to have some fun.
it. Okay. Fair enough. I do not have the XP. There's going to be lots of fun.
And fun was had by all. All right. So you're going to do it on the average, you say?
Yeah.
All right, so you work out the design in a week. Well done. Which is more than enough time for George and the boys to come back. However, there is the slight matter of the attack at the hospital, which you hear about later that day, while Oscar is slaving away in the jungle.
Yeah, we'll definitely go back to the hospital to check on Garibaldi and the Johnsons, Johnson and Johnson.
No relation.
No relation.
How'd it go, old boy?
It seemed to go fine. Perhaps should have come down harder on Virgil's performance on the beach, but overall, I think we got the soldiers squared away and the reputation intact, which is the main point of the exercise. What's this about? I think we'll be able to get some recruits out of this. What's this I hear about an attack?
There was something at my window last night. I wanted to go investigate, and I guess it might have been some more of those people dressed up as lizards. But next thing you know, a dart hit me in the neck, and it was only my quick thinking and to get Proctor to go summon help that saved my own life. But
That was well done.
it appears that somebody's followed us.
Yes.
They must really want to keep whatever they have secret and safe.
And what of this? I suppose during the crash we lost sight of this woman. We never found her body, did we?
No, I thought you said she was dead, but I don't believe so. Not exactly the first thing on my mind at that moment.
Yes, we definitely had more important things to take care of. It's funny that they came directly after you. I suppose might have been because this is you're less armed than we are, but did you take anything in particular from our prisoners previously? Something that might have led them to you?
I don't think so. I wrote a bunch of things down.
You interacted more.
Anything.
You interacted more with that prisoner that we had.
You had some
I did talk to her. I
conversations.
I certainly took a lovely souvenir, and I opened my shirt, and there's this line of pinpricks still down my body.
I have
Probably-
can I have an intelligence check from, double intelligence, from Proctor, the coward?
What is his intelligence?
Oh, it's one.
Is
That's one. Yeah, it's
one,
not
of
One.
course.
So you roll 2 dice.
So double is 2.
Woo! Triple A's games dice.
2 successes.
Ah,
Yes.
Games dice.
There you go.
Games.com. You can buy these.
Well, it occurs to Proctor that George's point is excellent. It's so strange that they would travel all the way into the city to try and take care of this. Now, to a coward's point of view, the crash of the Epiphany site is just as perilous. So not so much that, wow, it's so weird they came into the city, but if they're willing to come into the city, what did they do at the Epiphany?
Oh, that's true. That means we need to hurry back to the Epiphany.
Decisions.
You don't think they'd really go? Well, I suppose they would kill Oscar if they could. So are you telling me that you brought me here through the jungle, 3-day trip, trekking, sweating, being bounced around by these 2 buffoons? No offense.
Hey.
Oi!
To come here to ostensibly have me heal in the hospital, and so far, all I've gotten for that is an attempt on my life. And now you want me to bring me back right away
No,
before these fine chaps can fix me up?
I don't think Procter and Gamble are going to be taking you back. After you called them buffoons.
Well, we could speak to the local soldiers and
No
see if we can
way.
leave an attachment to look after Garibaldi, and the rest of us start making
I'm sure
our way
they'd be
back.
willing to do a favor for a famous fellow like you, especially one in the good graces of Armbruster Credenza.
Yeah. Oh boy. Decisions. Yeah. Because we still have to get supplies. We have to get Garibaldi healed up. We have to rush back. Wow.
But, you
I'll
know,
be here when you
Volunteers
come
to
back.
stay. Burke volunteers to stay and to guard Garibaldi.
Okay. That sounds like a good idea.
Yeah, go take care of them. I just can't make the trek again right now.
Proctor's happy to stay in this
So-
comfortable hospital
We could
with a roof.
leave Tanvir as well, so we can have Burke and Tanvir stay behind.
Sure.
Uh,
Although Burke has his own Batman, and he came with some of the other hunters and the soldiers in their off-duty hours are willing to help out. So there's no shortage of protection for Garibaldi on this end. Now that they know that his life is in danger. It's the Epiphany that is now light on protective detail, just basically being the men that you hired when they tried to beat you up in the streets to persuade you not to go. The ones you lured away, they're the ones who are there as the security detail on the.
Got
on
Grover.
And Grover.
And Alpha and Beta.
So in this case, I think I will speak to Jean-Claude to go ahead with the procurement of the provisions for the expedition. We've probably been discussing this.
They will be so perfect.
So I'm gonna trust him to take care of the provisions, and I'm going to wrangle up some of the volunteers from the troop, and I'll talk to Credenza and see if he'll lend me some of the men for the protection of the ship.
All right. So as you are as you're arranging all of that and you're leaving Garibaldi's hotel room, Jean-Claude surreptitiously slips a very small cupcake with a delicious, fruity looking frosting on top. And in teeny tiny little letters, it says, "Get well soon. Your contribution to the expedition is incredible. Your friend, Jean-Claude." Take care.
That's the level of detail. Yes.
Ah, merci, Jean-Claude.
It's,
Fantastique.
All right.
My
The
best
return trip is just George.
With.
I mean, the expedition's role is just George's.
Oh, yeah.
Because he's not going with this great big entourage of
True.
of locals.
But do I get some soldiers coming with me, or?
Well, let's see.
I guess that's what the expedition's role is for then. Can I roll in my survival? Can I assist with my
Sure.
survival?
Yeah.
Expeditions is
Or
5.
your diplomacy would be either way. We get to the same result.
Yeah. Okay. So 7 dice. Here we go.
Here we go. Same difficulty.
Oh my God, this is an amazing roll. 6 successes.
Oh, 2 successes.
Oh, 2 after the difficulty. Yes.
Right on. Well, that's great. 2 additional successes. So yes, you through the good graces of Credenza, who of course assigns to you the people that he gets along with the least.
That suits me fine.
But that doesn't say anything bad about those men.
Exactly. That sounds good. Yeah.
Right. So you're assigned soldiers and make the trip in reasonable time. Let's rewind time just a little bit. Who'd like to portray Grover?
I will.
No,
you.
Oscar, I'm afraid.
I'll be Grover. I've never had a chance to portray, although I don't have his stats, so I don't know if I can.
If someone could send the man his stats. Yes, Grover will be played by.
I don't have it.
Awesome.
It's all right. I mean, if you
I've
need
got
the
that.
stats, it's okay. You just let me know because it doesn't matter.
Yes,
Yeah.
we'll let
You just
all
tell
right,
me
so-
what. Yeah, that's a good idea.
Yeah. Okay, so you're gonna do Grover, and yes, George, Eloy. How about the stevedore, right? That was leading the assault on Oscar, but was overwhelmed by Oscar's kind of bashful charm
Flynn,
and
the
fascination
pugilist.
with. Yes, the pugilist. I'm a pugilist. All right.
Flynn, yes.
All right. In combat skills, Flynn is a suite of 4s. But what's kind of interesting about Flynn is that his initiative is unusually high, being a 6.
Well, awesome.
All right. Okay. So, sometime during the 3-day period, Oscar's not really sure because he's lost in, engineering schematics. Whereabouts would you be doing your design work, Oscar? The ship is on its side.
Well, I would probably.
Not like 90 degrees, but
No.
it's.
I would have had my cabin. I guess I probably would be most comfortable there. And let's say the cabin is actually up on the tilted end, so I kind of have to climb into the cabin, and I've sort of wedged, my bed at an angle in the corner of the room, and I'm working on my bed. I've got my papers spread out. I've got some engineering manual books and a set of protractors and stuff. You know,
Right.
lying out on my bed. But yeah, I'd probably be there. That's comfortable, quiet. Most people aren't going to bother me because they can't be
Okay.
asked to climb up there.
So, we're burning the midnight oil, it's late at night, and the jungle is full of these mysterious sounds like tree frogs and whatnot, and it's some distant roars of jungle cats and so on. But the ship itself is constantly making noise now as it settles. It's settling down into the damp earth, as the batteries have been completely removed for the design process, and to see which ones can be salvaged, which ones can't. The paint is totally uncharged, and so its 1 meter minimum height is now gone. So it's settling down, pressing its way down into the damp earth, and it's not designed to sit at this angle, so it's shifting, and lots of noise constantly. There are, of course, regular security patrols, and we'll open up this scene. It's like 2 o'clock in the morning. Everybody's quite tired. And Flynn, the pugilist, I'd like him to make a perception check, and Oscar as well.
Would that go off of a 4 or a 2?
That would be a 4 for...
That would be a 4. Perception. Here we go.
So it's not doubled.
No, just your perception.
3.
4 successes.
Ooh,
Okay.
smart guy.
All right, so Oscar's vaguely aware of, patrol footsteps. This is, of course, Flynn making his rounds. You'll remember in a previous episode, the security guards were issued with firearms. Right? So Flynn has a heavy revolver.
Nice.
Okay. So he's making his awkward way down the lopsided corridor, and both of you hear with clarity the sound of breaking glass. This is heavy aeronautical glass that the Epiphany has for its portholes and things. So there's like a kick, and then the cracking sound of glass, then another kick, and the glass gives way. It imagines, like a kick rather than some other kind of impact.
Where's it coming from, that sound?
From the other end of the hallway. So there's the Oscar's room, let's say, in the middle of the hall, and Flynn's on his way toward the room, and at the other end of the hall, there's this sound, and the sound of, glass raining down on the floor somewhere.
Okay. I will grab my bow.
Yeah, your super cool crossbow.
My crossbow. Quickly load a bolt, and I'm going to use stealth to investigate the noise.
All right, and Grover. It's late at night, and Oscar is staying up again. What are you bringing him?
I'll bring him some cup of Lady Grey, his favorite. Trying to navigate my way through the.
Now you are, of course, coming from the other end of the hallway.
Right.
So he's coming towards
you.
Flynn. Yeah.
Right. So Flynn, did you just draw your weapon? Is that what I saw?
So the noise is behind Grover. So he raises a lantern, I imagine, some sort of lantern, and draws the gun, and then goes, Grover, did you make that sound?
Sound, sir? What sound?
Behind you, come on! And then he rushes forward to investigate.
Trying to, like, in this cockeyed hallway, trying to have it with a foot on the floor and a foot on the wall, trying to get myself there and not spill the tea at the same time.
All right. So Oscar's creeping out of his room when this conversation breaks out, kind of dispelling the likelihood of whoever the intruder is not knowing there are people in the hallway.
Yeah.
And everyone hears the retreating sound of footsteps,
Dogs.
not a dog barking. No.
Dog attack.
Because of Oscar's high perception roll earlier, he's very clearly able to discern that it's not one set of retreating feet. There are multiple pairs of feet.
All right, so
You need to go and find out if there's an intruder.
I don't think it's an intruder, but it could be something.
the dogs have detected the intruders as well. So
Somebody's very upset.
nice. The dogs.
So we have multiple intruders.
Yeah, that's not good. But at least we have weapons drawn, right? So I don't know. We'll see what happens.
I just want
Ivan, you're kind of disappearing there. Something's wrong with you.
I know. Cheers.
Oh,
sir.
there you go. Oh, there's the cup. Yeah.
I'm
Doesn't
ready.
know what to do with that.
I'm ready for
Just
my couple of Lady Grey, not Earl Grey, Lady Grey.
Yep.
stand to the edge of the corridor to let the people pass, right? So it's like,
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
all right. So yeah,
Did you win?
Yeah, totally.
so we'll just Flynn just rushes forward to investigate, right past Grover to see what's going on.
All right. Well then, initiative.
Ooh.
I suppose Grover might be rolling a 2 or a 3. Two dice.
Yeah,
Two
2,
dice. Yeah.
3. Sorry, 3.
Oh, 3. Sorry.
Oh, he must be smart or something. I imagine he's very dexterous.
3.
Cool. And 1. Any zeros? 2. All right.
Not this time.
Maybe you will remember my description of a small spiked ball made of this kind of rubbery gel, right?
Yeah.
Poison, right? So you see a shadow roll in a thin clatter of leathery armor across the cockeyed hallway, like rolls out of the doorway. I'm just not going to get any peace with this barking, right? And using a leathery sling wrapped around the ball is spinning it as it dives out of the door frame, and then flings it, causing a rapid rotation, and the ball is heading right for Steve, who needs to defend.
Ooh.
So all combat skills are 4. So I'm guessing this is 4 as well.
Pardon, I what was that?
You said all his combat skills are 4. So I'm guessing defenses as well, 4?
Yeah.
Okay. Not bad. 2 successes, the average. So
Well, freeze frame.
it's like,
Well, we liked Flynn. He was useful.
Yeah, he was okay.
What did I miss?
there we go. 2 successes on the defense roll.
Oh, Steve or Flynn. Sorry,
Flynn.
I don't know why I'm thinking of him as a Steve. He's starting to begin with Steve.
Just Stevedore. So
Right. Steve the Stevedore. Steve Flynn.
yeah, that could work.
That could work. Yeah.
Well, it was nice to know him.
Let's put here Stephen Flynn. There we go.
All right. Fantastic. All right. Steve Flynn, the
He's about
pugilist.
to die. Yes.
Yes. He takes 4 lethal wounds.
Ouch.
Ooh, ouch. So what size is this ball thing? Is it like...
About the size of a normal man's fist. Not a big man's fist, but a normal man's fist. Yeah.
Okay. Like a baseball or something.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, so it hits and it sticks, right? It drives all kinds of these poison-coated spikes through his shirt into the meat of his chest, and
Is he
you know, and
is he incapacitated now? Is he at 0?
yes, he's at 0. So he has to decide if he's going to move or defend himself further, or that kind of thing. But the poison's not going to take effect until his next turn.
So I think he's feeling the numbness of the poison like spreading through his skin, and so he leans against the wall and goes, "Raise the ship, we're under attack!" and squeezes up a shot. Right.
All right.
Probably not going to hit anything, but at least it'll wake up the ship. So,
Sure will. We hardly ever fire shots inside.
yeah.
Steve never fires a second shot.
Yeah.
Okay.
There we go. So do I see him to fire at him, or is he gone?
He's right there.
Oh, he's there. So let's might as well. How much is the gun? Is 3, right? It's a 3 lethal gun.
Yeah, so you got 7 dice.
Oh wow, 2, 4, 5 hits. Not bad.
Not bad for a dead man.
Yeah.
Okay. 5. Blam! Okay, which is enough to knock the figure back against the wall in a spray of blood, and causes him to temporarily collapse. It's not dead, but definitely has been knocked back and knocked down.
Nice.
1 second.
We're sorry to all our regular viewers out there. We're just taking a slight momentary pause in our coverage. Ivan's getting attacked by a cat.
We have dogs,
We have
cats.
dogs. Yeah.
Well, she was absolutely trying like her best to get in front of the screen. Like,
Yeah.
It's working. It's working.
She was getting mad. She was getting mad before, but I wouldn't let her get in front of her a couple
There
times.
she
But
is.
she was about to have. All right.
And we're back with it here.
He's muted.
He's
so
muted.
Needs to.
Did you
There we
win?
No, but we got a cat on screen. Ivan got attacked by a giant cat.
So we have a Doberman, a golden retriever, and a cat.
Yes.
All right. It's the golden retriever who's been making all the noise. Basically, she wants to play too.
Good girl. Good girl, buddy.
I reminded her she doesn't have any thumbs, and therefore the dice rolling is a problem. And she said, well, what about dice rollers? And I said, look, I don't have time to talk about it now. And she said, okay, but we're definitely going to talk about it later. And here we are.
You can probably get a dice roller on the eye bone.
The eye bone. There we go.
Who's up?
So, who's up? It's got to be Oscar, unless Grover beat him, but I don't think he did.
Grover won.
So I'm going to fire my crossbow, which is H dice. Oh, that's not bad. 2, 4, 5 successes. However,
Don't worry about it. It's just that you're firing past Grover and
oh yes,
Steve,
of course.
Flynn.
I hadn't thought about that.
5 successes is fine, and clearly Oscar doesn't care. So
Yeah, that's fine. Okay.
All right.
Crossbow bolt goes by and Grover juggles the tea set. Right?
Whistling passes in.
Whistling is.
All right. And with an exhalation of breath, the figure collapses with that limpness that suggests death. But there is only one figure. Where are the others?
Yes. So I said I definitely heard more than one. We need to search the ship.
What's your ship, sir?
So you got to search the ship.
Steve Flynn takes two lethal.
So he just collapses goes to the edge of the wall and just.
Not dead yet, but likely to be dead
Right.
very, very soon.
Yeah.
Perhaps you'd like to lay down, sir. I hand Oscar his tea, and then start to like gently drag Flynn towards one of the staterooms where we can just put him in one of the beds as best I can.
Right. And while this process is taking place, poor Flynn expires with just the notation, I'm glad that I could finally do something good with my life.
Oh boy.
But it was a jolly good show, sir. The guy closed his eyes and kind of plump him on the bed and put a sheet over him. Straighten myself up.
Push him out the porthole.
No, it's a good chap, sir. So, what do we do now?
One style point for Grover.
Yay. Grover.
All right. So, Oscar, you're suddenly alone at night in the dark of the Epiphany with more than one person seeking to kill you.
So this is not good. I shall keep my crossbow handy, load a new bolt, and I think need to search through this deck, check the other rooms.
Do you think it's wise if we do this ourselves? Shouldn't we rouse some more help?
Well, of course, yes. Good suggestion, Grover.
And of course, the gunshot has got lots of people yelling, what's that? And head up to the deck and things like that. So people are beginning to assemble. And then you hear it. The yell of fire!
Oh.
And back in Belim, in a room in the embassy, John St. John Smythe sits bolt upright in bed, clutching at his heart. And he says, "Through the teeth of the mother." And then he says the first new word in weeks, fire. And passes out. And the curtain closes on another episode of The Sky is
There's
No
no
Limit.
limit.
I knew it. As soon as the fire started, I'm like, oh, I know.
Oh no.
Oh, no.
That's a cliffhanger right there.
I'm sorry to be so predictable, Ivan.
That's okay.
It's quite all right. It's quite all right. And
That's fine.
hey, the great thing is, like, I started the session at -3, and now I'm just at -2.
It's a,
So there's a net gain.
there's a net
it's
gain,
not
yeah, definitely.
huge, but it's there.
The entire party is completely separated, so to speak. Which is phenomenal.
Unwounded.
Oh yeah, the unwounded ones. Yeah. And the best help that Oscar has right now is Grover, and the ship's on fire. And in the meantime, the safest guy is probably George Mallory, just traipsing through the jungle with his.
3 days
Don't-
away. Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
He just has to
Like that,
worry
that's
about,
poisonous.
he just has to worry about, wild beasts and stuff
there's
like that. So,
ambushes and stuff. So,
yeah, there could be ambushes.
Oh, wow.
At
Wow.
the end of the fire, the only thing that Oscar's to salvage is, I made some plans.
Yeah, yeah.
If we only still had those parts.
The equipment, yeah. Oh, boy.
All right. Everyone gets 1 experience point for suffering my torments.
Show up.
Was anybody imperiled?
Oh, yes.
Everybody was imperiled.
Somebody got shot
Some
again.
more than others.
Yes.
Yes, this very easily could have been the death of Lawrence Garibaldi, horrifying as it is to say. I am not going to talk about success. Actually, I will talk about success. I forgot what happened in the session. George Mallory was definitely successful in all of his aims, and Oscar was successful in his redesign. Very important. But let's talk about Lawrence. Lawrence, what is your
Lawrence was-
relationship with success in this session?
He was successfully survived the ambush.
Successfully survived 3 days in the jungle on a makeshift kind
But
of.
it's about making progress toward his goal or an explicit goal of the adventure.
Living is.
Oh, yeah. Really, very little at this point. I mean, it's just so everything is so close yet so far. I can just reach out and touch it.
All right, so we're going to
But, yeah.
bypass that one for
No,
Lawrence.
Lawrence is not having very much success in this moment. It's right there.
Oh, so close.
Learning, the wisdom point. Like I said, this one is not very commonly gained. Often it's gained more often at the beginning of a scenario, and then it kind of tapers off. And
I don't know whether we learned a lot this session actually, because we just got attacked again.
Yeah. No, we accomplished things, but learning new things, I don't think we did.
I
mean,
we got
we got to the magistrate, we cleared the soldiers, which was part of our plan and trying to get them with us. We got Lawrence to the hospital, which was a goal. Didn't prove out to be the best goal, but it's a goal. We found the survivors who are unconscious, and we can't do anything with them yet, but they're there. So we got the plans drawn for the ships. So what we wanted to do, we did, but I don't think we learned anything.
No, I don't think so.
So that, with the role-playing point, gives us the automatic point, the danger point, and the role-playing point. Plus, 2 of you get the success.
So it's 4?
4 for
3
you.
or 4.
Right, we're up to 6. Not bad.
And now only Lawrence is sitting on a massive fat stack of experience points.
Yeah.
Yeah, but Lawrence is the one who needs the equipment and, oh no, wait. Well,
That's
yeah,
Oscar.
of course he does, but he still does. He's our chemist, so
But he's not a weird scientist.
that's true.
It is not.
So Lawrence, what are your plans? What are your future plans for the experience points that you have banked?
Well, really, I was hoping to put some towards our patron back home when we got back home. So I was definitely hoping to keep about 10 of those for that, because I think as a
You're
group we
hoping
were
that people
talking
would
about.
pool them together, you mean?
Right. Yeah. So that's one of my bigger things. Really, in terms of actual character development, like on the character himself, not very much, except maybe specializing a bit in oratory for performance, and just really for trying to gain more support, when we have to actually do something social with the various leagues and what have you. But there is a matter of fame or league membership, and there's really kind of the idea of maybe improving Grover a little bit, because he is such a fun character.
Grover's pretty cool.
Maybe adding Percy into an actual permanent thing as a
Yes.
follower of some sort.
That'd be entertaining. So having Grover elevated to follower 1 and gaining a stat boost and skill boost as a result would be kind of interesting to see.
Right.
But having 2 0-level followers would definitely be.
Yeah. So I have a few different things, 2 different things I'm thinking of, to be honest with you.
That's good.
On the more boring side, we could argue for tough because he's taking a lot of poison and still, he
I
keeps
have-
going.
That's an interesting talent, yeah.
Yeah, so no, I have actually the thought of something like that as well, like something defensive, like the tough or the one, I forget the name of it right at the top of my head, but it's I don't think it's Die Hard, but one of the ones where you can ignore penalties as far as you being able to still be skilled, that sort of thing. So
All right.
Is
Yeah,
that
no,
Jack of all trades, isn't it? Jack of all trades?
I've got Jack of all. Yes, I actually have 21 experience points right now.
Ooh.
Yeah, so I mean, there's that thing where I could buy a talent and something else or whatever. So I have to really kind of look at that after the game and see just what am I going to do with this.
See, this is the disease resistance specifies that it does not affect poison.
Yeah, because it's disease.
Yeah, I know, but it should be like poison resistant at this point.
You could go for high pain tolerance.
Yeah, there's one of those too.
Oh,
Yeah, no wound penalties is kind of nice.
Yeah. So that was the one I was thinking of. See, there's a bunch of different ways I could go for Mr. Garibaldi. Yeah.
Pretty cool. All right. I just want to throw the floor open for a few minutes, see if there's any commentary about the campaign, the session, or what have you, before we.
That was a
wrap
really
it up.
fun. That was a really fun session. I really enjoyed that. Some good pulpy moments and some excellent funny interludes.
and it's a good thing we have the rich NPC cast, right? Because then it's just okay. You take over this guy, you take over the other guy, and let's just go, and it works, which is always
Right.
great.
I definitely enjoyed the moment too, where I had to make a decision, like what do you want to do with these successes now that you've had more successes than normal in this persuasion, for lack of a better word, role of magistrate.
In hindsight, I should have just thrown him under the bus. Sort of, but hey, it's done. It's good. It's all good.
Yeah, but that's cool.
Because I should have boasted, right? Because it's more in character for him to bump up his own fame than to
Yeah, but would he do it at the
be
cost?
nice to the other guy.
Yeah, but would you do it at the cost of somebody else's image?
That's true. Yeah.
Depends on your character. I mean, if it sounds like you'd have to be a little bit more ruthless.
That would seem to be like not the nicest thing to do, and so
The worst choice overall being, having him sent back to Britain and not helping the soldiers.
the guys
Right.
exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, I knew Mallory wasn't going to do that because he's too upright of a guy. But that's kind of a neat thing that like Leagues of Adventure, and Ubiquity gives you guidance for us. Okay, well here's these things, here's these resources you can express mechanically. Okay, well you have this option now. What do you want to take?
True.
That's pretty cool. So it kind of gives you a framework of a way to kind of structure like, okay, here's your options and here's what they're really going to mean.
Yeah. The one thing I would like that I think we missed doing is rolling a medicine check for whoever's taking care of Garibaldi, because that's the multiplier that affects his healing rate.
Because it's an NPC, I took it on the average.
Oh, okay. So it's what, 2?
It was 2.
Okay,
So he was healing in half the time.
Yeah.
3 weeks. Oh, that's good. Oh, great.
3 weeks is You could
better than 6.
You could be
better
back.
than 6. Yeah.
It's not bad considering.
Back in the saddle by the time we built these boats and stopped the fire and.
Assuming Oscar isn't kidnapped and taken away, and then we have to go rescue him.
Don't give Anthony any suggestions.
Okay. Did I say that out loud?
I have this idea. I have this vision in my head of Lawrence like coming back and just finding Oscar's notes tramped all over the place and trying to build these boats based on these half-ass has like, scrawlings and diagrams and some stuff on the wall. I think this is what he meant.
Yeah.
And that's the real cool power of the weird science talent, is that these creations are held together more by willpower than they are by anything else. I mean, they're using rare elements or weird combinations or just the right adjustment of this dial and that knob and this gear, and no one else can figure them out.
Well,
Yeah.
if we lose Oscar, then at least somebody can buy the talent for weird science and get us going. But hopefully it won't come to that.
He's not going anywhere. It's all fine. It's all good.
It's all fine.
It's all good.
And plus, you mentioned the NPC cast. We're leaving the other people that obviously are on the Epiphany kind of ambiguous or vague, for the express purpose of if someone should perish, because as you've seen, I'm not pulling any punches. So if one of the characters should perish, then we don't want the player to miss out. So there are these vague suggestions of people that can step in to fill the void in a kind of a.
The things like people like
Tanveer
Singh could become a full character very easily.
Right.
He's an interesting character, especially now that you've said he doesn't like to use weapons, firearms. Yeah. There's a whole interesting backstory that could come out of that.
Why not?
We got Edmund Burke, who's from the Hunters Club. We got Ann Smith, the photographer. We got Percy, the chronicler. Plus the regular NPCs. So
one of the cool things about Ubiquity is that the follower level or the ally level or the patron level doesn't necessarily give you a specific set of attributes for that character. That's how much of themselves is in your service.
Exactly.
Right? So like Grover is a follower 0, and he's very obsequious, and he'll serve you all the live long day. But in a fight, someone pops him one, he's going down. Conscious, unconscious, whatever. He doesn't have the fight in him. He's going to be easily taken out by opposition. But Grover fighting for his own belief could be an entirely different character. And we started this session out with, or not the session, the campaign out with Dr. Neslinger as a patron level 5, right? A tremendous patron able to supply you with this incredible ship. When you get back to civilization, if none of you, invest in keeping him as a patron, then he just kind of walks out of your life, and none of his traits matter. But if you were to put in 15 points, then he becomes patron 1 instead of patron 5, and his available attributes and resources and whatnot that you can draw on are reduced. So even though he is a far more experienced character, the amount of his attention that you can get is limited.
Particularly as we just wrecked his ship. So
That's a thing. Stress testing.
Yeah, we tested it to the limit.
All right. Well, I think we have chit-chatted enough about this particular session. I'm glad you had a good time. And
awesome.
Thanks for making time, despite explosions in the house and endless dog barking and whatnot, for coming along on this Amazonian adventure with me.
Awesome. Thank you. Just to say, thank you for everyone out there that's joined us in this session, and we'll hope to see you next time as we play more of The Sky Is No Limit. And just like to say thank you to Anthony for running another awesome session, and see you all next time. Cheers. Bye.